Okay, I'm going to, this is, I don't do live videos very often. I've tried it a couple times and it always feels awkward, but I'm going to try it now. And if you're watching, and I don't even know if I can tell if you're watching from the way I'm doing this, but I have my phone hooked up to a thing and it's looking down at the iPad. So I want to be sure you can see everything. My big hands are probably going to get in the way, but I'll try my best to, to show you. So this, the picture right there, not the picture we're going to be painting today, um, but I wanted to have something for a screenshot because I think the YouTube takes a picture when you start out. So forgive me for being really unfamiliar with what I'm doing, and maybe after I do this, I'll have a better understanding of it. Okay, so this is on my iPad. The device is the iPad. Whoops. And the program I'm on is called Procreate. I'll just start at the very beginning. That's what the Procreate logo looks like. I love this program. It is it is used. I've watched so many videos of people who use Procreate, and there are so many different styles. Some people use it like a drawing or a painting palette or a painting canvas, which is kind of what I do. Other people use the tools to take a photograph, for example, and manipulate it to become more artistic or more artsy. So I do, I guess, two different things. I do what you would call like illustrating for a children's book. Here's an example of one I'm working on right now, and so yes, that's one. It's a two-page spread right there. I'll show you something. I'll show you how I do that if you're interested. Let's put this on there. See those blue lines right there? That's my guide to know that this is going to be the left page and this is going to be the right page once it's printed onto a book, that opens up. And so that's one style or one thing I do. In this particular painting slash drawing, I used the brush, which is called soft pastel. Can you see it there? Hopefully you can see it. So it does give a pastel look to it. Let me zoom in on it for you. Let me get rid of the blue lines. Those are just my guidelines. Those don't get printed. But if you take the artwork and you go closer, you can see it looks like pastel. I mean, it looks like real soft pastel. I've done a lot of work with pastel. Just real quick background on me. I'm not young. I'm 68 as I speak right now. And so I started out with traditional art, acrylic and oil and pencil and pen and pastel. I did pastel a lot. I did a lot of pastel portraits, etc. Okay, so that's one way I use this now. The other way, which I love, is creating a painterly landscape. So this is an example of that. And I'll show you, that's what I want to do today. That's what I'm going to share with you. And I sure hope you can hear me and see what I'm doing here. So how come I don't see the picture changing on there? Now what did I do wrong? Did it stop working? Oh, it says something on my phone. Let me see what it says. It says the Wi-Fi does not appear to be connected. Well, it should be connected. Okay. All right. Well, see, it already goofed up. It already had a Wi-Fi not connected message on my phone. And I can't really see my phone because it's up in this device here. Okay, so I was showing you the last picture. I think the one that got frozen on was a illustration for a children's book. And I was showing you, and hopefully you got to see that, but I used the pastel. How do I get this picture centered? The pastel brush. But the one I want to do today is more painterly, and I use a different brush. I use a dry brush mostly, and that's what I want to use today. And if you go real close on this, you can see the brush strokes. You see? So if you print this up, and put it in a frame on a wall, then you will see the person seeing it like in a living room or in an office. You would see that it looks like a painting, which is what you want. Okay. Here's an example. I did a little mock-up. Let's see of what they look like in frames. This is just 4 different paintings I did. That's the company name that Robin and I created. Robin is my partner, for those who don't know. Okay, so now let's get started. Are you ready? All right, we're going to get started with the actual painting. And I hope this doesn't crash. I'm not sure why it crashed the first time. I'm not even sure if it's working right now. But here we go. All right, so this is the iPad. And this I'm using Procreate, so I'm going to get a new canvas, a new drawing area. So what I want, my 27 by 21. So this represents, it's not 27 by 21, obviously it's more like 8.5 by 11 or whatever. Do I have a ruler? Yeah, well, you know how an iPad is. But anyway, so the screen is, let's see, 10 across. I don't know if you can see my ruler here. By like 7 1/4. Okay, but it represents 27 by 21. So 27 inches left and right, 21 this way. Or I could turn it this way, make it more portrait, but I'm going to do landscape, okay? All right, now I want to show you everything, okay? So what I want to do first is I want to get a reference photo, and I hope I have one in here. So that you can push that button, you get a reference photo. Right now, the reference is the white canvas. It's referencing its own self. But I want to go to my images. I took a screenshot of this. And that, let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. That is a photograph I took while Robin and I were out walking in a place called Ravine Gardens. So if I can make it bigger, I guess that's as big as it gets, the reference photo. So, and by the way, those of you who know about layering in digital art, the reference photo is regarded as a layer. So if you have a limited number of layers, keep in mind that this is going to count as a layer. So in this painting, in this photograph rather, you see that trail right there. That's kind of what I want. But I also want this light coming through the trees here. And I like this area over here because it's got some distance to it. Now over here, in the actual place where we were, it might look like a river in your, like in your monitor right there, but it's not. It's just trees. But I want to make it a river. So I take that little area right there and make that a river. So I want to make it, so I'm going to make a fantasy picture in a way, but hopefully it'll come out looking good, okay? All right, so let me shrink this again, make it kind of the ratio of the canvas, and let's bring it to, let's try to make it about the same size. I'll show you why I do that in a second. Let's see how I make this bigger. Okay. Okay, yeah, sort of like that. Okay. Now I want to show you what I do for the underpainting. Right now we have a white canvas. In traditional art, when I have a regular white canvas, I want to paint with acrylic or oil. I don't use a white canvas. I always paint it in some way to have an underpainting. So you can do this. You don't have to do this. There's so many different ways to do this. There's 2 different types of underpaintings. First of all, there's simply the white underpainting, which is really not an underpainting. It's really just a coating so that the painting, won't crack in the future. It protects the painting. Basically, you're putting down a layer over the canvas, usually with gesso or something like that. Or just on a layer. You can just do a layer of white paint too, but it's probably better to use gesso. Okay, so you can see there's not much definition in this picture. Let's try to make a better composition out of it. So I'm trying to just try to screen it out here. No, I think I'll keep it kind of like that because I kind of like that. Kind of like that sky up there. So maybe I will keep it like that. Okay, so let's get now the underpainting started. Watch this. Now I'm going to touch this. Can you see that little circle that shows up? See I'm moving it around? You see that top half of the circle is changing colors? Like right now it's white. Well, wherever my finger is, whatever pixel it's on, literally, is the color that it's showing. So I'm going to say that this green right here is probably about the middle green of this whole painting. So let go of it. Now you see up here? You see that little dot right there? That's the color I just picked. So I can drag this in and make the whole canvas that color. Okay. Now I just used a layer. Let me show you how many layers I have available, by the way. I had 27 by 21. Here's the canvas information. Here's the statistics. I think that's how I do it. Nope, that's not how. Oh, here's the layers. This is how I do it. So this 27 by 21, what I've chosen to paint on, has a maximum of 6 layers. The bigger the canvas and the higher the DPI, dots per inch, the fewer the layers will be. And so far it says I've used 2, which means I have 4 available. Okay. Well, 4 available. I don't really need a whole lot of layers, but I'd like to conserve so that I have some. So let's look at the layers now. Look at this. The layer that is green is actually a layer I could be painting on, so I'm wasting a layer. So I'm going to turn the background that same color. So I'm going to grab that and go here and see if I can match that color. That might be right. You can see it's really more like a blue-green, isn't it? Let's see if I got it. Sometimes I mess up on this. Okay, so now it's got that, which is not quite the same. Okay, so let's mess with it until we get it the same. Maybe it needs to be a little greener. Let's look at it now. That's a little on the blue side. Let's see. Now see, it's still too blue. In traditional paint, you would just mix your colors until you had them right. Okay, well that's not exactly the same, but it's okay. So now let's get rid of this one. Let's clear this layer, clear it. Now we've got that left over. Okay. All right, now let's talk about complementary colors. So I'm going to use, this is the palette I like to use to grab colors, but right now I'm going to use the round one. I'll show you why. The sky. Let's just sample the sky. There's the color of the sky, right? So if I go to my color wheel here, it shows it right there. There it is. The opposite of that is here, this purple. It doesn't change it much because it's so light, but I could move it in a little bit. Now I have, there's the color I'm going to be painting with right there. So that would be the color, the complementary color of the sky. So what I want to do is get my brush, and I'm going to use the dry brush. So that's gouache, turpentine, oil, stucco, dry. That's the one I want. You could do it any brush you want. This is just the one I'm going to use. Okay? Now let's take the size of the brush and make it kind of hefty, because this isn't really the painting. This is just the underpainting. So can you see that purple starting to be added there? Hopefully you can see it. So what I want to do is get that shape of the sky, and then that little V right there. So let's just kind of scrub it in. Okay. Take liberties, just have fun with it. But you're not painting the picture yet. You're painting a complementary underpainting. It doesn't have to be perfect. There it is. Okay. Now let's get the color of the background trees there, just the sample of it. The opposite of that is over here, this purple. So let's take this shape and scrub it in. Okay. There. Now keep in mind down here, I want that to be like a river. I am going to use the color that exists, but I will be altering that later. Now the opposite of that is this purple here. So let's kind of push it in there. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, just scrub it in. Okay. Now here, this shape, right here, that shape, we want to do the opposite of that, which is this. Okay, it goes up a little bit. Again, we're not trying to replicate it completely. We're just trying to get the shapes. Now let's take this area here. Opposite of that is this color. And I just to repeat, I use the same technique with real paint. What I love about digital is that it's kind of rapid. I mean, you can really get a picture out very quickly. All right, let's get the trail. Let's get the brightest part of the trail right there. And again, the trail I'm going to mess with also, because the trail is kind of in dull light. But there we go. Boy, the complementary almost looks like the actual color. But there we go. It's kind of like an S, like a really shallow S. Okay. And then let's get this shape right here, this area right there. Get the complementary color, this purple. Okay, just gonna scrub that in there. And this dark area right here, just that small little area right there. The opposite of that is here. So just kind of put that in there. That gives it some depth. We can add a few of those here and there too, because there's a few other places like right there. All right, now let's get the rest of it. Just get that green right there, and the opposite is this purple right here. So we're gonna get this whole big shape right here. And let's just scrub all that in, keeping room right there for that purple to shine through for the sky. And a couple of places elsewhere, just kind of random. And we'll just go down to the end of that trail right there. Okay, now what we have done is we have a layer at the bottom, this one right here, the background color, that is sort of a complementary color to like the sky and to everything else. Actually, what I probably should have done was I should have probably made it. Let's see what happens here. I wonder if I should have made it a different color. Well, here's where you can play with it. See how you can change it? See how it changes? Well, maybe I'll do that, and I'll explain why. This is an artistic decision. I'll make it more of a brown. So just get rid of that, and you see there's what I'm kind of using right now. Maybe I'll make it a little bit more on the orange side. I think I just completely changed my mind about this. Well, and it's good for you to see me do that too, because this is what you do. This is what you do. This is why it's called painterly. You're using your artistic sense of what you think will look nice. Okay? Now, whether it works out that way, it's always up. You never know. All right, now let's start painting the painting. So we have one layer, which is the background. It's not really a layer. We have one layer, which is a layer, which is the complementary background. Now I'm going to add another layer. And that layer is on top of this layer. So everything I paint now will be over that. Now, you can go to your palette here. Now let's get out of this round one and go to the square one. I like it better. And let's just kind of make a decision here. So let's do the sky first. Okay, I want to make the sky, it's almost white in that picture, but I kind of like the skies to have a little bit of blue in them, so I moved that over. Now see, here's very blue. Okay, like right there is like super blue. And over here's like very light blue. But I also want it to be a little bit purple. because it looks like a cloudy day and it's like quite not quite blue. So there's the color I want to use right there for the sky, right there. And there's what it shows up there. So now I'm going to take the same brush, the dry brush, and I'm going to start painting it. But the difference is I'm going to make it smaller. Now this changes the opacity. Right now I'm just going to keep it 100%, and we're just going to be painting on here. So you see those brush strokes happening? Can you see them? I hope you can. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to paint that sky in a painterly way so that I have a lot of brush strokes. And paint them all in there. You can scrub it a bit. Every time you lift up the stylus from the screen, it records whatever you just did, so that later on you can watch an animation of it if you want. There's a plus and minus to that. If you do that, you're going to be using memory on your iPad, which of course you can always delete later. So that's one reason I don't like to keep them. However, it is nice sometimes to see what happened, especially when you have somebody asking, well, how did you do that? I mean, how did you paint that? And people ask that all the time. And I guess that's why I've decided today to try to do a live one. If you're looking at this after it's live, I appreciate that too. I guess I wanted to do it live in case somebody had questions. I watch other people doing live videos, and it seems like people comment and ask questions and stuff. So I thought, well, I'll give that a shot. I can answer some questions. All right, so now you see what I've done? I've created just an area that kind of resembles that area. Not perfectly, but just kind of resembles it and gives some feeling of the sky, which is what we want, okay? And like that, okay. Now we want this area to be next. That's the farthest away part of this painting. And so we want to have a green, very unsaturated though. So there's that's a kind of a blue-green. There's a green right there. There's a green. Okay, now we don't want that. We don't want leprechaun green. We want something very, very light, very unsaturated. So way over here to the left. All right, and what I'm going to do, because I'm going to mix it down, I'm going to make another layer and put it on top of the sky. So let's do this. Let's just paint in. Let's see. I already think that's too green. So let me bring it more to the edge here. Yeah, I still think that's too green. Okay, I hope you can see it. Okay, that's still too green. Or maybe it's too light. Maybe it needs to be a little bit darker. Yeah, that's what it needed. What you're witnessing is this is not this is an art. This is not a science. That's what I guess I should say. It's still too green. I tried to, and I'm going to put some patches in there because it's not uniform either. Those trees in the background are not uniform. But they are kind of faded because they're in the distance, and you have that haze that distance creates as you look through the atmosphere. Okay, so that's going to be the distant trees, the way distant trees. I'm trying to keep it hazy, and I'll show you a little trick too that you can do to even make it more hazy. And the trick is to grab a color from the painting and then kind of scrub it over it, kind of blend it in. It's just as it would be in the real world. You would have the atmosphere kind of obscuring what you're looking at in the distance. Okay, so now we have, yeah, that's working. That's nice. You see that? It's just a little tiny area that shows something's happening in the background. And after a while, we're going to have the sense that those are some distant trees. All right, now let's go for something a little darker, little more greenish. So this looks like it might work. How about over here? And you can scrub that in. So I'm staying on the same layer. It's not that big of a deal. Little bit like there. Okay. All right. Now this down here, this looks very grayish to me. So I'm going to come down here to the gray and put this down here. And remember, we want this area to look like a river. So we're going to make some dark areas here. There we go. Just a few places. We're going to make this a river. Okay, so up here a little bit, a couple of dark areas just where the branches are peeking through. Some of the closer branches are making their way into the picture. There we go. Just scrubbing it in. This is painterly, but this is also impressionism. I am not painting a single leaf. There's no leaves. Now, that's not to say that I wouldn't. And in fact, I probably will a little bit in this area down here when I get to that part. All right, let's get a couple of lighter colors, maybe something more on the yellow side. And start putting some of them in there. Just to create a little bit of variety. So we're working on this area right here. That's what we're doing. So get some darker colors down here. Okay. Some dark areas. Okay. Okay, it's working out. All right, now since I want this to be water, I'm going to kind of sample this. Let me just sample this, even though that's not water. But I guess I want that green right there. That green. So this is going to be the area that I'm going to make look like a river. And the one trick I'll use is to have reflections coming into the water that's not really there. I think sometimes in this place, which is Ravine Gardens in Palatka, Florida, I think sometimes maybe the river does come this high. I don't know. But it looked like it might have when we were there. So, okay. So there's the edge of it, and obviously it wouldn't be a perfect line. It would be a little bit messy, and you'd have some dark areas in here where, the light doesn't make it through in the trees across the way there. Okay. Now I'm going to just scrub in a little bit of darkness here just to have something to paint up against. Okay. Now let's try, right now it looks like a mess. It's going to continue to look like a mess for a while. Okay, so I'm going to take the color right off the photograph. And I'm going to scrub a little bit of that in there just to test it to see. Yeah, I guess I got it. It looks okay. Okay, everything is kind of hazy still over there. And that's what we want. We want it to be hazy. We want it to be distant and hazy. And again, we'll take this, sample that, and go over here. Okay, and some of that area over here. Just grab some of that color and scrub it in. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to keep that. Let's see. So that's now a layer. Let me see if I turn it off and on. That's the layer over the sky. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to make another layer over that. And then I'll combine them in a little bit. But I want to grab some of these light greens here. And I want to start pushing them in here. Goes up here. Goes over here. Okay, this whole area here. There's even some over here, so I'll go ahead and do it while I have it. Here we go. Let's take this dark area right here next to the trail. Let's scrub that in a bit. Get some of these dark greens here. Push it up there. And some of these light greens again. There's a light green. And tap it a little bit. You can make the brush smaller too, so that some of those areas are not so big. Especially if it's the close part, the part that seems near the camera. Just because, you know, the closer you are to the camera, the more detail you're going to see. All right, now I'm going to scrub it in, so I'm going to make it bigger again. Let's see. Okay. Now back here, this is a cool area back here, because this is where the light's coming through. And I will work on that. I'll make sure that illusion happens later, but right now we're just gonna try to make it a little bit more on the yellow-green side. There we go. A little bit less saturated. Because the light's coming through the trees back there. Okay. Now the path itself, the trail itself, is darker in the foreground than it is back a little bit. And of course it has some dark edges around it. Let's scrub some of that in there. Let's get that darker even than it is. There we go. That's darker. There. That might be a little too dark. So let's get a little bit lighter. It's kind of almost like a pure gray. And then this would be much darker on the side here. There we go. Yeah, just add some of that stuff there, some of that dark area over here too. Okay, now when you see dark areas, we're just gonna tap them in there. There's a dark area up here. There's a dark area up in the corner there. So we're gonna work, you know, we're not gonna say do dark first and then do light, and we're not gonna say do light first and then do dark. What we're going to say is do both. Think in terms of, you can, especially with digital art, you can work your way up, and then recover a dark with a light, and cover a light with a dark. Okay. All right. Now let's get some of this area over here. I'm gonna purposefully make it dark, even though I'm going to add some light on top of that. In fact, I'm going to do that to the whole area here, but I'm not going to scrub it in as if it's every single pixel. a little bit here. This looks like it goes this way. A little bit of a hill right there, I guess, in the woods. Uh-oh. 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 It crashed. Let's go back to it. That is a problem. That is a problem when that happens. Devices crash. Now I got to get that reference photo back. But you know, devices crash, right? Well, have you ever been out plein air painting, for example, and the wind blows your easel over? Yes, that's a problem too. So you can't just say digital art has problems because the devices crash. You know, in today's world, most paintings are sold as prints. And a print is going to be pixelized, pixelated, whatever. Pixel, you know, it's a photograph. So the end result is still the same thing. All right, here we go. Back to where we were. I'm just trying to get some dark here so that I have some light areas I can work over. And again, I'm not trying to duplicate the photograph completely. I'm even creating a river there that doesn't exist in the real photograph. But I think it's kind of cool. You know, I don't think I had it this far back before. There's that tree. I didn't see that tree before. Well, I think I like it. So I'll keep it in there. So going from the edge of the trail up this way. See, I'm following that line right there. And then to create some of this sky that's peeking through. Again, I probably be careful not to do too many things on one layer, but I'm going to show you something. I'm going to combine them anyway, so it doesn't matter a whole lot. Okay, let's get that dark color right there. Yeah, so at this point, you're sort of using the reference photo completely as a reference and not trying to duplicate the photograph. You'll see when it's all done. The photograph isn't that great. It's not a magical photograph. And hopefully the painting will be. Hopefully we'll have, our objective is to have a nice painting and not to replicate a photograph. Because replicating a photograph is easy. All you gotta do is replicate it. Just duplicate it and print it up, and there you go. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to look for some areas that look like they would work with a little bit of darkness added to them. Like, that's going to be a river, so I'm going to make that darker and then have some reflections in it. And you'll see once I start adding vertical lines how vertical lines change so much in a landscape. Okay, let's get a little bit brighter sky here. That way it'll offset the background a little bit better than it's doing right now. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. My big hand isn't too much in the way, is it? And tap, 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 tap. Lots of tapping. So if it was a traditional brush and you're tapping, it would just have a swoosh, 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 swoosh sound. Yeah. All right, let's put a little bit of light right there on that trail. Yeah, the idea that there's light coming up onto that trail in the distance is kind of a cool idea. All right, let's put a few spots here. All right, do you see how it's coming together? And by the way, do you see how that background, that purple background, let's go back to that. The original underpainting, you see how it's working? So if let me get rid of the reference photo for a second so I can show you. So that was the original underpainting. And then there's the sky, and there's part of the trees. And that's what we have so far with all those things put together. And you see how the underpainting is coming through. Let me remove the underpainting. See how it changes the whole character? So keeping it like a violet, purple, is what I like. And if I didn't like it, I could always change that too. I won't do that right now because I don't want to ruin it, but I could show you that. Right now, what I want to show you is these three layers are separate layers. How many layers did I have? Canvas information, layers. So I have 6 total. I've used 5. That means I only have 1 left. I only have 1 layer left. However, let me combine these 3. I'm going to combine those 3. See how I pinched them together? Now I only have 2 layers. I have the painting, and then I have the underpainting. Okay, so there's the underpainting, and there's the painting. Now I'm going to put a layer on top of the, oops, that's between them. I want to put it on top of them. Oh, that's something I should show. See, you hold it. You can move the layer underneath if you want, or in the middle, or on the top. Sometimes you want them in different places. Right now I want them on the top because I want to paint over what I've already painted. Okay? Hopefully this is being recorded and you're getting this. And I have a lot of people ask me, how do you do what you do? And I'm showing you, but I don't want you necessarily to do what I do. You know, it's just my way of explaining maybe. All right, now let's go back to this. I'm going to keep it small. Once I get enough on there, I'll be able to make it bigger. But I just want to kind of get some more of these dark areas. That's not too dark. I'm going to make it darker. Okay. Just some dark areas in here. This makes it real rich when you have the dark up against the light. Okay. And again, we're putting another layer on top of what we have. And in this case, we're trying to keep that area back there lit. Like the sun is coming through really well back there. Okay. And then let's go across the river. See how it's starting to look like a river? Starting to look like water. All right, now what I want to do is I want to get some of these light greens, like that color right there. Like a bright light green. There's the color right there. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter than it is. And I'm going to start tapping that in there. Some of the leaves, some of the places where the sun is making it to the leaves. Like back here, up here, there's some places back here that might apply to over here. Let's make the brush smaller. We'll come over here and we'll do some vertical lines, little vertical lines. Don't want to do too many of them. Over here we'll have some of that happening too. Okay, some dots. Some little tiny brush strokes that make it look like leaves. Okay. A lot of this happening over here. There's a little bit of sunlight hitting over here too. And that's another thing, you can exaggerate the The dappled light effect. Let's do a little bit, a couple of vertical things here. Slightly vertical to create more of a landscapey look. Right. Is it coming through? All right, now some of these dark areas, like this tree here, let's grab that dark area. You know, all you really needed to do was just be dark. It doesn't have to be a dark area of orange or blue. It could be any. I'm just gonna put in some of these vertical lines, like trees, just to because the vertical lines do help a composition, bring it together. Way in the back here, you see these kind of slanted vertical lines. That those are the trees in the picture. They come down to these. I'll make that one a little bit thicker. It's like an older tree. Maybe some limbs even coming off of it there. Maybe there's one coming across. Like that. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that's what happens in the real world, right? The trees cross the trail. All right, now I'm just trying to keep in mind that this is across the river, and you want to be able to imagine that you want to. The fantasy is, I want to cross that river. I want to swim in that river. I want to see what it's like over there on the other side of that river. I want to feel the water in my toes. I want to swim quickly so alligators don't get me and all that other stuff. Okay. I'm not completely happy with this river look yet, but I will be. So across the river, let's make a few vertical lines that are on the light side. Just, there we go, there's a couple of them, there's a few. Just places where it's not happening in the actual picture, but because there's no real water in the actual picture. But I want to create some vertical lines, dark and light, over there. So we sort of have a sense that there's other things happening. Okay. Now this, I'm going to try to exaggerate the darkness a little bit. There we go. We got some, it's starting to resemble something going on over there. Okay. Now this right here, that's an area I'm not too happy with because it's kind of undefined and I'd rather it be more defined. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sky color and I'm going to lower the opacity and I'm going to kind of scrub it in there. Hopefully create a look of distance. A little bit. Just a little bit around that area right there. Okay. Right now, let's go back and keep it more opaque. There, now we can see the river. Now we want some light vertical lines, or some slanted lines. Just what's going on over there. There's the light's hitting some trees. And by the way, speaking of that, I want to add a little bit of light to this side of the tree. Just some things here. Yeah. Okay, now I'm just taking some of this. Again, light is hitting the trail here. Light is hitting the hillside next to the trail. There's some dappled light coming through the trees. get some of these light areas as long as I'm working on it. I'll just get some of these areas. I think I'm going to go for the more almost yellowish look. It's going to be warm light coming from the sun. Okay, I get some of this a little bit darker. I'll just grab it from the photograph. Scrub it in there. Okay, now what we can do, we can take some of these light colors and drag them into the water. Just to get that sense of a reflection. Like something's, there's water there and it's reflecting what's on the land across the way. There's a little bit of a shoreline there, so let's do that. Yeah, now you can sort of see what looks to be a river. Okay. Now I'm going to try something here, see if I'm ready for this. There's a thing I do to make it richer looking, but it doesn't always work. And the good thing is I can always undo it. When you learn a digital trick, you got to learn how to undo that trick if you don't like it. So it's easy. It's easy, trust me. It's really easy. I'm trying to get more light coming through here. Yeah. Okay. Now, I think what I should do is get rid of the reference photo now at this point and make this larger so that I can really now work on the painting and kind of just use, creative decisions about this. So one decision I want to try, one thing I want to try is, watch this, the last layer, watch when I take it away, how much it changes it, right? So what if I double that layer? Let's just see what it does. It makes it a little bit richer. I don't know if you could tell that. So what I want to do is I want to combine the two, and then let's see when I double the under layer. Oh, there it goes. That became a little bit richer. Let's do that, and let's double the underpainting. It's a slight, subtle change. So there we have, there's the underpainting, there's the first layer, and there's the second layer. And let's look at it for a second and see if we like it. Not completely. I don't completely like this yet. So I have to continue working on it. But I think we've accomplished our goal of creating a painting that looks like a trail through the woods that is near a river with some distant trees and some sky and some growth, some flora in the foreground. But I'm not really happy with it yet, so therefore it's not done. It's not done until you're happy with it, okay? So let's, but I think I can take these two layers and combine them. So now I have two layers. I have the underpainting and I have the painting. Now if I get the underpainting, make it go away, or let's say I take the underpainting and make it black, it's kind of nice too, but I actually prefer just like that. That seems to be my favorite. And it is a constant asking yourself, do I like what I've done? Do I like the picture? Well, the answer to that is not yet. Okay, so now I'm no longer using a reference photo. Now I'm just using my creative ideas, okay? Now I'm on a different layer just to be sure. And I'm just going to scrub in. Okay, now this is where you let your artistic skills take over. Okay, just what do you see? What do you see in the painting? Do you see an opening? Do you see a mysterious path through the woods? Do you see the other side of the river as a place you'd like to explore? You know, you see a lot of growth. You see a lot of areas for little flowers and green things. In fact, it might not be a bad idea to add some color to this. Right now I'm not going to. I just want to add the dark areas. I think I see, so here's the trail. Let's get the color of the trail, and there's a good chance that there are some stones in this trail. I'm sure there are, and some roots and rocks, I'm sure. The trail is not perfect. Okay, let's make this a darker area too. So this area, maybe there's a couple of places here where a tree is pushing its way through. All these areas here that could be darker. The tree, the close-up tree that I did is a little bit too sketchy. Needs to be a little bit more defined. Yeah, let's get some. This is where sunlight's coming through. Somehow it's making its way through to the trail. The trail's got some bright light happening back here. I think there's probably sand on this trail, and the sand reflects the light as a white light. Okay. And by the way the stylus works, it's kind of like a real pencil, where when you push harder, it reacts as a pencil would if you push harder. Okay. Put some more dirt on the side of the trail here. Okay. Just kind of adding growth. Okay, so we want that area back there to remain kind of mysterious and hazy. And some of this stuff is closer. So let's really define this a little bit better. Put some limbs with some leaves. Again, I'm not painting leaves, I'm just scrubbing in what might look like leaves if you squinted your eyes, I guess is the best way to say it. Okay. remember in school when, I don't know if you ever used the word scribble scrabble. I'm just doing scribble scrabble. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing scribble scrabble. Scribble scrabble. And this gives that background area a little bit more sense that it's in the distance just by adding some limbs here. Yeah, that's working nice. Yeah, let's just add some limbs here. They're not in the photograph, but I like them to serve as a way to create the illusion that you're looking in the distance there. Yeah, always remember vertical lines can make a landscape come alive. But when I say vertical, I don't necessarily mean 90-degree angle to the edge of the paper. I mean just the up and downs, the north and souths. Okay. Some of them can be long, some of them can be fat, some of them can be skinny and short, or both. Okay, now that's the very distant distant. This is the close distant. This is the mid distant. This is the very close right here, and that's going into the woods. So what I think I would like to do now to make it, it's getting where I like it. Let's see let's see the progress. Let's get rid of the layer I just did. Oh yeah, you see how it changes it? I'm going to duplicate that just to enrich it. No, I don't like that one, so let me get rid of that layer. All right, keep it like that. All right, let me keep working on that because I like this area right here. The light's coming through. There's somehow some light going on there. So I'm going to go to the yellowish colors here, maybe almost white. Yeah, I'm going to add some there. In fact, I'm going to add some here too, because I think the light is reflecting off of some of the leaves on this side of the river. And that side of all the brush is getting the light. Get some brush over here, some growth over here too. The light does reach over here. Got some areas over here, dappled light in the grass. Some light hitting here. So what I'm trying to do right now is figure out where the light might be hitting. Different areas on these trees, different areas. Even in the background, that light works. It's coming through the trees. Let me make the sky a little bit bluer right there. It's a fine balance between warm and cool. I want some cool colors in here as well. I haven't done a great job with the cool colors yet, but hopefully I'll get there. just trying to create the illusion of grass or long-stemmed wild growth happening. Um, I think it's coming up. You know what I want to do? I want to put these two layers together. I'm going to try an experiment here. I might not like this, but what if the sun was coming through these trees, making a beam in a couple of places like that? And yeah, oh yeah. I think that's working out. Now, the risk I took was not a risk at all because this is a separate layer. But I kind of like the way that looks. What do you think? So you see, if I use that layer, I just did those little streaks of light. Take them away and put them in. Take them away, put them in. Let me see if I double them. No, that's a little too exaggerated. So let me get rid of that. But I like the slight. I'm not gonna mix them right now. I'm just gonna keep it like that. Well, look back in time. It says, look at that. I don't know if I'm done or not. There's some light over there. Not so sure I like what I just did there. So look, I can erase that with this 2 fingers. See how those little things go away? I just did. Yeah. Oops. 3 fingers puts it back. Okay. Well, so far I like that. I think I'm gonna do one more layer. I'm gonna shore up some of the darks. I think I just need a little bit more balance with some of the darks. Let me make the brush smaller again. Just make some areas over here. So this is definitely a painterly painting. Nothing is really drawn to try to emulate what something actually looks like, as if you're trying to recreate a photograph. But the brush stroke element of this, the looseness of the brush strokes, I should say, helps make it come alive. I think over here there should be, let me make the picture bigger. There's a few places where there's maybe some stones or something in the path here, and then they should be probably reflecting a little bit of light off of them. So let's just kind of double it up, give a little bit of light and a little bit dark. Yeah, I like those little streaks of light coming in. Yeah, making it to the other side of the river too. Huh? All right, now what I want to do is I want to take this painting. I'm going to do 3 fingers, and that gives me an opportunity to copy everything. Now I'm going to do 3 fingers again. Come on. And I'm going to paste everything. So I'm going to show you why I'm doing that. Okay, so now you see that says inserted image right there? That's what I just pasted. I just took the whole picture. I took a picture of the picture and I made a layer that is just the picture. Let me see if I can do 2 of them. No, it won't let me do 2 of them. So what I'll do is I'll group these 2 together, these 2 layers, and keep those separate from the painting, because those are the light streaks in case I decide I don't like them. You know, I'm starting to not like them. I'm starting to not like those lights. Let's see for a second here. What if I made them not so pronounced? What if they were just a hint? Yeah, I just dropped their opacity a lot, like 50%. Let's try it now. Yeah, I think I like it like that better. It was a little bit too much before, which means that this has got to go. I got to get rid of that layer. So now what I want to do is the same thing. 3 fingers, copy all of it. Give it a second to do what it does. And then three fingers again and paste all of it. Hopefully it works. Okay. And now there's the inserted image. Now that's kind of more what I want. Now let me explain why I did that. There's going to be 2 that are the same. Now I'm going to get rid of one of them. So now I'm only looking at that one. Now, I'm just going to play with the coloring a little bit. There's a thing over here called curves. And you see this little graph down here? Let's mess with that a little bit. So it's got red, green, blue, and gamma. Let's try the red. Let's just see what happens if I mess with the red. Okay, maybe a little extra red. Mess with the green. Maybe somewhere around there. Mess with the blue. And I think I pulled it down a little bit. And then the gamma is kind of like bright. And that's a good like that. That's good. All right, now you can do this and compare it. That's what it was. That's what it is. That's what it was. That's what it is. So I think I like what I just did with the curves feature. Let me show you the 2 differences. So there's what I did with the curves, and without curves it looks like this. So I think that's a cooler looking one, and this is a warmer looking one. Now I have to decide which one I like best. I'm not sure. You know, I think I like the cooler one the best. In other words, without altering it at all, just keeping it the way I had it. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of that layer right there. Actually, I'm gonna clear that layer. Clear it. And that's where I'm gonna put my name. I'm gonna sign my painting. And to sign it, I'm going to use the turpentine brush. And I'm going to get very, very close to the corner. Make my brush very small. And I guess use a white color. And draw my name the way I always do. I don't sign my name the way I would on my checks. I draw my name this way. It's kind of my, what do you call my brand or whatever, my mode logo. And then 2023. Now that's way too big, see? So what I'm going to do is that's a whole layer. That's a layer all by itself. I'm going to take that layer and make it really small. Tuck my name in the corner. Let's see if that looks okay. It's kind of hidden, which is what I want. And there it goes. So my name's on there in case anybody says, you know, who did this. And you can see how brush strokey, how loose this is, how painterly it is. There's probably some areas that I'm not so happy with, like right there, that looks kind of funky. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take the image, and I'm gonna use this. I haven't shown you this tool yet, but I'm gonna use this tool. This is a, what do you call it, a smudging tool, I think. Like a blending stump would be on pastels. And I'm gonna just scrub a little bit of these areas here, make them a little, yeah, give it a little bit more texture or something. Yeah, bring some of this light into the, yeah, I'm just kind of smudging a little bit. You could do it down here too, with the light on the path. Just a little bit here and there. I know you probably can't see much difference, but for me, it kind of shorts up some of the areas that were cringe-worthy, I guess you could say. And there. Now the only thing I need to do is name it. I'm going to name it something cool. Let me think of something cool to name it. Hmm. This is kind of cool. Try to get some of that light from the back there. While I'm thinking of a name, I'm messing with the picture. So now the more I mess with it, obviously, because I'm messing with the layer that's the inserted image layer, but that's okay. Well, there we go. I think I'm going to keep it just like that. Now I'm going to make this painting available if you're interested. Let me show you where you would go. If I can do another image layer here. Nope, can't do another layer. So let me do this. Let me open up a page just for you guys. Screen size. And I'll do is I'll paste the painting there. There it is. And now I'll put the painting on there. And you know what I'll do? I want to show you something. Oh, I can't do it because I got my phone. But anyway, change this to an off. There we go. That looks good. All right, so I'm going to take the painting and put it right there. Okay. Now, if you're interested, I have them for sale, the paintings. This is how I pay my rent. So I'm gonna put my name, my website name, let's see. Okay, I wanna show you. I'm trying to be clever here and give you my information. Okay, so if you go to, oh, I can do text. So let me do text. I'm gonna do, oops, I don't want to paste anything. I don't want to do that. So undo that. What I want to do is want to add text. And there's my text box. So my website is, I think you got to do everything. I'm going to tell you. I think it's https:// I think this is going to work. And then my name, Larry, and then hyphen, and then Whittler. Oops, make that bigger. And then dot pixels.com. I believe that'll work. That's too big, isn't it? How do I fix that? Like that, okay. So now, before I tell you for sure that's how you get to my site, I'm going to try it. So now I have two layers on this. I have my name on my website, and I have the painting itself. Ooh, it'll work. It'll work. So there you go. There you go. If you want to look me up. Now I'm gonna go on my computer for a second and see if that actually works. Because I don't know. Alright, we find a different. I'm on my computer now off screen. Let me try https:// whoops. I'm fat fingering everything. / then LAROY hyphen WHITLER .pixels.com and click on that. Yeah, it takes you to my site. Right now this painting's not there, obviously. But if I just put let's see. I don't know, but I did the HTTPS thing, and it seems to have worked. So, all right. Well, this was kind of an experiment for me. All right, let me get out of that. So there's the painting, and there's my address if you want to go to it. I will make this painting for sale. Oh, I didn't come up with a name for it yet. How about I call it Bright Tomorrows, plural. Bright Tomorrows. That might work. Bright Tomorrows. Okay, I'll call it Bright Tomorrows. So let me name it. Here's the painting. So Bright Tomorrows. Okay. Well, there we go. Bright Tomorrows. Don't forget to go to my site if you want to buy one. There's all kinds of stuff that they sell on there. They sell the paintings and they sell the other merchandise that they sell. Bags and stuff like that. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Talk to you later. Now, how do I stop this? I guess I gotta take the camera off of the thing and tell it I'm done.